Let's take a look at all things money matters now. And South African stocks are trading at 3-week lows, trading around the 74,000 level, the lowest since March 16th, as more hawkish comments from the U.S. Fed officials and a new round of Western sanctions on Russia weighed on investor sentiment. So what does this all mean? We're joined by Matete Thulare, head of foreign exchange execution at Rand Merchant Bank. Always good to see you. Thank you very much for availing yourself. So the Rand is flat after hawkish Fed minutes. Talk us through that development.
Good afternoon, Dudu. I suppose the Rand continues to consolidate, and with limited data and also event risk, that might just make us drift sideways into the weekend. We saw the Rand starting the day at 14.70, obviously on the back of the hawkish Fed minutes that we saw last night. That's keeping global markets under pressure. And I suppose the Fed has started to talk about an aggressive $95 billion per month worth of quantitative easing, potentially starting next month. That would be faster than the $50 billion that we had anticipated at their last meeting. And a lot of the Fed members are now starting to support a hike of 50 basis points. Now, already the market is starting to price in and suggest a 50 basis point hike at the May meeting, with about 80% of that priced in. Now, that would put pressure on the Reserve Bank locally to do the same, especially given the fact that you saw last month when we had the last Reserve Bank meeting, 3 of the members, had highlighted for a 25 basis point increase, whilst another 2 had thought about a 50 basis point increase. Now, global equity markets are weaker. We have seen yields higher after the minutes that we saw last night. The Rand continues to consolidate in this 14.60 to 14.77 range. The wider range at this point in time is around the 14.40 to 14.85. But, from a positive sentiment point of view, the Rand fundamentals are improving sharply once again due to the coal price. We have seen the price there increase on possible European Union ban on Russian exports. Now, the increasing bias is for the Rand to get slightly stronger, and potentially we could see this 14.40 break. But obviously, it is going to be on the back of a combination of a lot of news with regards to whether what happens in the Russia-Ukraine situation, the COVID situation, and also just from a political perspective in terms of what happens with the geopolitical tension.
Shell has warned that it may take a hit of around 73 billion rand on its exit from Russia. What does that mean?
So look, Shell has announced that it will write off between $4 to $5 billion in value of assets after pulling out of Russia. So the announcement obviously offers a first glimpse at the potential financial impact of, the Western oil majors after exiting Russia. Previously Shell had estimated that the Russia write-downs would be about $3.4 billion. Now, further details of the impact of the ongoing developments there in Ukraine will be set out in Shell's first quarter earnings that will be happening on the 5th of May. Now, remember, a few weeks back, Shell was forced to apologize for buying a heavily discounted consignment of Russian oil 2 weeks after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, Shell has come out to say, look, they will no longer purchase any Russian crude oil, and they would shut down their service stations, their aviation fuels, and lubricant operations in Russia. Now, they've also indicated that they're also going to be exiting some of the joint ventures that they have with the likes of Gazprom, which is a Russian gas giant, and all their related entities. So I think a lot of the ongoing developments and announcements will happen on the 5th of May when they release their first quarter earnings.
EOH announcing plans to sell its Himax business to Seacom in a 144 million rand deal. What do we need to understand about that development?
So look, EOH has concluded to dispose some of their assets. Now, this includes Network Solutions and obviously Himax. They are going to be selling that to telecoms provider Seacom for around 150 million rand. Now, if you remember, EOH has said that they're going to be targeting asset disposals over the next few months and obviously over the past 2 years, which includes assets that are quite capital intensive. Now, the proceeds of this transaction's net of costs will, be applied to reducing their debt. They're not the only company at this point in time where if they're having asset disposals, they are reducing debt. We have even seen the likes of MTN do the same. But for Seacom, this forms part of their ambitious growth strategy that will transform the business into a converged telecoms provider across Africa. I mean, if you remember, they've just acquired Hirani Telecom and also AfriCell out in Uganda. So the transaction is obviously subject to several conditions, including the unconditional approval of the competition authorities.
Let's take a look at Basil Reed. They've provided an update on their business rescue plan. Just remind us again of the group's service offering and how we got here.
So look, the last update we had from them was in 15th of November last year, and given the business rescue proceedings, they've not concluded the commencement of this business rescue, project. The group is still continuing to operate despite the heavy challenges faced from COVID-19, and there's 3 contracts that are still underway, which is being Umgeni Water, TCTA, and Eskom. Now, the business rescue practitioners remain of the view that a full implementation of the business rescue plan will be better than, resulting in a liquidation. And due to the ongoing process of this whole business rescue, the company is not in a position to release financial results for the 6 months ending in 2021. So I think given the fact that they've still got a few projects and obviously there is still business rescue underway, it is going to be work in progress for Basil Reed, as we've seen for the past couple of months.
Thank you very much for that update. Matete Thulare, Head of Foreign Exchange Execution at Rand Merchant Bank.